Michael, this is with how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Friday.
Yeah, you
um,
too.
thanks. Yes, apologies for kind of catching out of the blue here. The reason for my call is I'm calling in reference to an email I sent you yesterday. Do you recall receiving an email from?
I don't.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, what we are is calling out of Veeam, and we're a Google venture-backed payments company out here in San Francisco. And what we do is we eliminate all international wiring fees to enter any vendors or contractors or developers. So are you by chance making or receiving any international payments for your company?
Making or receiving, we have customers outside the U.S. that pay us, sure, but yeah.
Okay. So you are receiving payments internationally via international bank wire?
We have an e-commerce site that we take payments through from customers outside the U.S., but we're not doing wire transfers.
Okay, so you're not doing any international wire transfers at this time?
Not at all.
Okay, okay. Figured it'd be worth a conversation. Maybe we're not a fit. So I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Friday.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so I think overall this guy did a pretty good job. Let's talk about what went well. So first of all, he obviously is with some sort of financial services wire transfer company, and he opened the call focusing on his value proposition. So instead of out of the gate saying we do wire transfers to where, I might start to shut down, he focused on we help to decrease and eliminate all the fees around wire transfers. That's his value proposition. So he got that out there and he focused more on that. Then he got real quickly to a sort of a qualifying question or a pre-qualifying question, which is, do you do wire transfers? I gave him an answer that obviously allowed him to disqualify us, and then he moved on pretty quickly. So now I would rate that as doing something well, because I think that what a lot of salespeople often do is they try to sell to people and prospects that aren't a good fit, and they end up wasting their valuable time. So if you're going to end up getting to know, get to the answer no quickly, and if you can, by asking a question or and figuring out that the prospect's not a fit, so then you can move on to work on a different prospect. So he seemed to do that, and he was real quick based on my answer to move on and walk away. Now let's look at some of the things that I think he could have done better. So first of all, he opened the call, and I think he kind of sounded a little too salesy, in my opinion. He asked me how I was doing. He said Happy Friday. So from a style standpoint, I'm not a big fan of that. Definitely, I would cut out the Happy Friday thing. I think it's a bit salesy, cheesy. I actually recommend people to not ask how the prospect's doing if it is a cold call. You don't know them, they don't know you. When you say how are you doing, my read on that is that it's a salesperson trying to manufacture rapport. He really doesn't care about me, and then I'm saying I'm spending my valuable time answering his question. Then I might ask him back. Then he's answering my question. It's just an empty exchange, wasting everybody's time. Now that doesn't. If you've talked to them at least once, then I agree. I love asking how they're doing because you know each other. You've at least spoken once before. I think it's a little bit of an empty gesture, and you may say, "Well, I'm just trying to be nice." What I'm not going to ask them how they're doing when I open the call. I will want you to replace that question with, "Have I caught you in the middle of anything?" So instead of trying to manufacture a rapport with, "How are you doing today?" You're going to generate rapport by displaying respect for their time, and it's also a little bit less formal and more casual, something that a coworker would say when they pop their head in your office. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is he calls me out on whether or not I've remember his email. I don't really know why he does this. And so there's a lot of people that often send emails and they ask the prospect, "Did you see my email?" I don't really see how anything good can come from this. I mean, let's look at the options, right? So either A, I did receive the email, and what does that mean? That means that he doesn't have to explain something to me or he can skip some steps. Let's see that most likely, if you ask that question, you're going to get a response where the prospect doesn't remember you, doesn't know who you are, and then you're going to have to start from the square one anyways, and it might be this little uncomfortable exchange where they don't remember you, and then you look like you obviously didn't make that good of an impression, so you're digging yourself out of a hole. You wasted time by asking them. It's just, why even ask that? Yes, send emails, make calls, but treat them independently. Don't call someone out. Hey, did you see my email? Did you receive my email? Or if you do some sort of link tracking or open tracking of their emails, definitely don't mention that you saw that they opened the email or they clicked on a link. So just scratch that. I mean, hope that they did receive the email, but treat what you say on the cold call exactly the same, whether they received your email or not. If they read your email and they know who you are, just use everything that you're planning on saying as reimbursement of what they would have read in your email, and let them cut you off if you say something that they already know. All right, so let's look at some things that he could have done better. So, maybe he disqualified me too quickly, right? He basically said, "Do you do wire transfers?" And I said, "Well, our customers pay through our website and we don't really take any wire transfers." But maybe we could have had a conversation around wire transfers. I believe that the goal of your cold call should be to start the conversation, not to sell the service. He disqualified me based on my answer for needing the service, and he moved on and was out of there. Maybe what I said or the way I said it was a good reason for him to disqualify me, but maybe we could have started a conversation around wire transfers. When was the last time you used one? Why don't you do them? Do you don't do them very often, or you never do them? And now even that I'm thinking about it, I really answered his question based on how our customers pay us. We never have our customers pay us through wire transfers, even knowing about half our business is outside the US. But now that I think about it, we do hire a lot of software developers outside the US and we have to pay them. And even now I'm thinking about it in real time, we do a lot of payments via PayPal and there's some fees with that. Maybe this guy could help me to decrease that. I have had some software developers that wanted payment through wire transfer, and actually, now I think about it, we didn't do that because the fees were too expensive. It was too much of a hassle. So now I'm actually kind of curious. Maybe this guy could be a fit and could maybe help me, and I'm just thinking of that now. So this is a great example in real time that if he would have started a conversation around wire transfers and just got me thinking, because I was just kind of pigeonholed into one little area, but if we would have talked about wire transfers, maybe we could have identified an opportunity to do business together. The other thing is that maybe I genuinely don't need his service today because we don't do enough wire transfers or whatever. But my business changes every month, every day, as well as most of the prospects that you talk to. So if a lot of times when you hear no, it's not no never, it's just no not right now. So instead of him just cutting me loose and sending me off to never talk to me again, maybe he could have planted a seed in the form of sending me his information so that when I do reach a point where I'm doing wire transfers, that I can think of him. And so he could have said something like this: "Hey, well, it sounds like you guys probably aren't a good fit for us, and at least not right now. As you guys grow, you might run into situations where you have to do more wire transfers, and they can be pretty expensive, and we have a low-cost option for you. What I want to do is I want to send you my information. I'm going to shoot you an email as soon as we hang up, and what I would recommend is hang on to my email. Leave it in your inbox, stick it in a folder. That way, when you reach a point where you're doing more wire transfers, you can think of us, give me a call, and I will then help you to reduce those fees or eliminate those fees altogether, and we can go from there." Does that sound good? Call and shoots me an email, and then he moves on to his next prospect. So, that can then just keep the door open between us. And honestly, in this exact example, it probably would have been good because now that I've thought about it, I probably should talk to this guy, but I don't have his information. So by at least sending your information, you can plant the seed for the future. So that's just another small thing that he could have done. But overall, I think it was a pretty good call. Again, just kind of getting nitpicky and looking at certain stuff. I think that it's really productive to do that. You can do that for yourself. My recommendation would be when a call ends, reflect back. I call it reflecting back to improve moving forward. But reflect back, think about what you did well, think about what you could have done better, Think about what objections came up. How did you respond to them? How did the prospect respond to your objection responses? What are some questions you could have asked to keep the call going? And when you're going to run into the same situations again and again. Certainly it's great to go through that process with some sort of coach or consultant, but if you're just even just doing that by yourself, then you can then reflect on the situations and strategize with yourself as to when that comes up next time, what should I do differently? And you know it's going to come up. So hopefully that helps you, gives you some ideas, and gives you some stuff to work on. If you want to hear more cold call examples with analysis, be sure to subscribe to either our YouTube channel or our podcast, as that's where we'll continue to put these as they come in and as we record some of our own calls. Hope that helps. Have a great day. Happy hunting.